Hello, hello, welcome, please come in. Our Rangers Only series continues this week in Final Fantasy X-2, which may seem like an interesting inclusion considering this game doesn't have a Ranger class, but much like including Berserkers as basically monks in my Monk Only series, X-2 does have a class that is close enough, and that is one of the starting classes, Gunner. This is a class that focuses on ranged damage, it can attack a bunch of times in one turn thanks to rapid fire, and, as is typical of X-2, it has a variety of gun abilities that are of dubious value. So, is this class Ranger? Who cares? It's close enough for this. And that is the opening sequence completed, quickly and easily. That gets me aboard the Celsius, where it's time to load up the good old save editor and give myself a handful of Gunner spheres. This is mostly just so that I can pass through gates on garment grids and stay Gunner, since Gunner is actually a starting dress sphere that I already have. Now, Gunner does actually have some interesting looking abilities. Enchanted Shot for magic damage, Pot Shot and Table Turner to get around high defense, and a few abilities that can target all enemies. I'll let you guess how many of these actually end up being useful. But with the basic setup done, it's down to Mount Gagazet for the tutorial and the first proper boss fight, LeBlanc & Co. First thing to note is the damage is fine. It's obviously not Berserker good, but it is still better than Thief or Alchemist, so while I do have a bit of healing, I can mostly just shoot LeBlanc & Co. until they go down. The random encounters here are all pretty easy and mostly just serve to get me some experience and some much needed job experience. Ormi and Logos do pop in to try and stop me, but the minions they summon are very weak. Ooh, Muscle Belt. Gonna give that to Pain because her attack animation is fast, so she's gonna be my primary damage dealer. And it is first proper boss time, Boris, and let's try out Yuna's new Pot Shot ability. Okay, so that was worse than a regular attack. Fantastic. Gunners have pretty bad magic, but that's okay damage. I'm honestly just trying everything to see what works. And the party is stopped. Good news, the duration on stop is pretty short, and Boris drops. Okay, so Pot Shot may actually be trash, not that Boris has a huge defense anyway, but dealing less damage feels incorrect. But that is the tutorial completed, meaning I can now go anywhere I like. And looking at the map, okay, so first destination is the Calmlands, mostly to talk with this idiot and start the matchmaking side quest. I messed this up in my Berserkers Only playthrough, and I really want that auto-haste bangle in Chapter 5. Honestly, nothing else is worth pursuing, so it's down to be saved for the first actual story sequence. This starts by needing to gather the passcode to a locked door, and I can only ever remember where 3 of the numbers are, so I can then just put in a random 4th... Oh, got it on the first try. Nice. Here, Waka is talking about something, who cares, and it's next boss time. The Flame Dragon is decently strong, mostly because I am very underleveled, and my damage is not great. Good news is potions still actually cure a decent amount of health, so healing is mostly covered. Bad news is that while my Gunners have learned a few gunplay abilities, none of them are good. My damage is basically limited to normal attacks. I mean, I could in theory use Trigger Happy, but it's difficult to use effectively, especially with 3 Gunners, and I hate rapidly tapping a button. I should get a turbo controller. Or should have, since it's just too late now for that to be helpful. And that is the boss down. Okay, not too bad. Anyway, I am underleveled, because I skipped too much of the story. I should probably do a bit of leveling, and Mihen Highroad tends to be a good place to do that. This has frequent enemy encounters, good sphere position. It also doesn't have any story in Act 1, meaning I don't have to get through any nonsense to start leveling. Hold please, we will be back shortly. Levels gained, it's time for the next story destination, Zanarkand. Good news, the enemies here aren't too difficult and give decent enough rewards, so might as well get into some fights on the way. But other than that, this area is really just running straight through, skipping cutscenes, and then giving a password to Isaru. Then into another dungeon, which is mostly boring as well. I mean, the behemoth right out the gate is an interesting start, but other than that, this dungeon is just run straight through to the end. Oh, I forgot, I should equip the Protection Halo Garment Grid. That increase in defenses will probably be pretty useful. And that means the next boss fight, Guardian Beast, which hits pretty hard, well into the triple digits, and my HP is not great. So I need to spend a lot of time using potions to heal, which are already proving insufficient to the task. I do have some gunplay abilities, but they are still showing themselves to be kind of trash. Seriously, do Gunners get anything good in this game? So far they seem competent, but not great. Oh right, I forgot about the photons. Well, let's try and recover from this, shall we? And yeah, this may be a leveling up instance because big damage and bad healing means I am struggling. Items having a charge time in this game is really just rough to try and use them effectively. Actually, my potion stockpiles are getting kinda low. I hope I don't just run out. I'm just gonna spam attack and hope that's enough. Oh, that worked. Though it probably shouldn't have. I'd need some levels, or better healing, or both. But I'm too lazy to do any grinding, and I can't buy better potions for a while. So instead, it's time to do the next story beat in Kilika. Oh yeah, I don't actually have many potions left, and can't go back to the Celsius to buy more. And the next boss can be rough. Fine, I'll level. At least the enemies here drop potions a lot of the time. Woo. And through the woods, give the passcode to weird numbers of guards, mess it up some to do some murder, and it's next boss time, the YSLS 0, which has basically all the same difficulties as the last boss. The only good thing is this boss doesn't seem to have any multi-target attacks, but its single-target attacks are doing a lot more damage. And while my max HP has improved a bit, my healing capabilities have not. I cannot wait to have high potions. This fight is just a mess. Good thing I have so many Phoenix Downs and potions, because I am using basically all of them just to keep the party going. And my damage isn't bad when I can actually attack, but having to spend 2 to 3 actions healing every time I get attacked is bad. Okay, the boss is down, but I'm going to need to do something to get my damage or healing up ASAP, because this is rough. I guess I can give Yuna the Heart Reborn grid. This does have Cure, though Gunnar's magic stat isn't great. Anyway, with Kilika done, it's time to start Act 2. And first up is to give away the sphere that I just stole, and I guess I'll give it to New Yevon for no actual reason. I kinda just picked one since it doesn't really matter to me. But LeBlanc has stolen things from the airship, so it's time to get outfits to sneak into her headquarters. First, it's time to solve the healing issue, once and for all. And that means hopping down to Makalania. Here, Owaka is in trouble because he's a bad business person, and needs a place to lay low. And the Celsius should serve that purpose excellently. Next, it's over to Guadasalam to chat with this idiot. He will sell data that I can then sell for a profit. I do need 10,000 gil to buy the data, so I guess I'll do some Thunder Plains grinding. This will get me some levels and the gil I need. Okay, gil acquired, and it's time to buy that data. Now, selling the data has different return values based on who it gets sold to, and I really need high numbers here. Higher is better. Real glad this game autosaves when you enter a room, because this took a lot of resets to make it work. And I ultimately settled for 70,000. This means a profit of 60,000, which is nice, but I'm not done yet. Next, it's up to the Celsius. Here, I can buy items from Owaka. My goal is to pay off his debt completely. This takes a lot of buying, then selling to barkeep, then selling some accessories, but it's worth it, because now Owaka sells high potions for 50 gil, but high potions sell for 125 gil, which means each high potion has a profit of 75 gil. So hold please, while I solve my money crisis entirely. Owaka also sells high potions in Act 2, where barkeep won't sell them until Act 3, meaning this also solves my healing issue. Time to hop down to Besaid. Not to do the story here, but instead to do some matchmaking. I could leave this all for later, but I want to be absolutely sure I get enough points for auto haste in Chapter 5, which means running around to a few towns and areas and chatting people up. That mostly done, I can head over to Jose Temple. Here I get permission to dig at Beaconell, but this area also has the next plot story beat. Some LeBlanc & Co. nonsense, which is basically just a fight with Ormi, Logos, and some random minion. And this fight is the first opportunity to show off Scatter Shot, a gunplay move that hits all enemies. And once I don't have enough MP for that, because it's expensive and gunners don't actually have a lot of MP, I can use Burst Shot, which is a guaranteed critical hit against one target. That takes out Ormi, and Logos does not actually last that much longer. All of these moves are very MP expensive, which sucks, but auto crits and multi-target damage are quite useful effects to have. Okay, that done, it's time to head over to Beaconell. From there, take a transport over to the Oasis, and it's time for another fight. This time it's just against Logos. Scatter Shot makes very quick work of his entourage, and then it's just Burst Shot until down. He drops so fast I don't even run out of MP. Okay, Gunnar is starting to come online a bit. It's still no Berserker, but it's doing things. That's 2 uniforms down. Next uniform is at Mount Gagazet, and finding this side area. And it's another fight, this time against Ormi, and actually just Ormi. So no Scatter Shot. Instead, it's just time to spam Burst Shot, which means Ormi gets off one attack before fleeing. And that is all LeBlanc Co. uniforms in tow, so it's time to sneak into LeBlanc's headquarters. Oh, I also got Bum Rush at some point, which has a strength bonus I definitely want, because it will make my guns deal more damage. Into LeBlanc's HQ, complete a very early 2000s minigame, and it's into the secret back area of the hideout. And first up is another Ormi fight. I start by taking out the Shigun so I don't have to deal with any magic attacks, then Burst Shot on Ormi, If you leave him alone, he can deal big damage that I don't want to deal with. So I take him out first, and then deal with the goon afterwards. Next up is another fight against Ormi and Logos. Same principle as before, but I'm stupid, apparently. For reasons unclear, I fired Logos with Burst Shot instead of Ormi, which is the opposite of what you should do here. Good news is Burst Shot and even basic attacks are dealing enough damage that Ormi drops before he can start one-shotting my party members. More LeBlanc nonsense, and it's time to face down the whole team. First up is a curtain to apply Protect to reduce the damage I take, then spam Scattershot to deal pretty big damage to the whole party. LeBlanc and Co can be a bit tricky in this fight, but honestly it's not that bad. I do wish I had some kind of Dispel though. I should really use Protect curtains in fights more often. That reduced damage is really useful, and I'll have way too many curtains by the end game anyway. It does take a bit before any of them drop, but thanks to the multi-target attacks, once one drops, the rest follows soon after. Oh yeah, the Charm Bangle! I love an accessory that stops random encounters. It makes my life so much easier. And that means it's time for Bevelle. One benefit of giving the sphere to New Yevon means no fights in this first section. On the other hand, the fights are pretty easy and give experience, so who can say? Maybe I should have given the sphere to the Youth League. Anyway, into the Cloister of Trials. I guess this area has enough encounters anyway, and they can't be skipped. Sag. Anyway, through the Cloister of Trials, and it's time to head into this underground area and deal with my least favorite part of the game. But before I get into that, I can rotate some platforms, and it's technically a boss time! And then do that again because the game crashed. Precept's Guard does have some nasty spells, but Burst Shot's auto-crits are dealing really nice damage, so it can demi, bio, and drain as much as it likes, because it dies very easily. And now comes the part that sucks. See, now I need to rotate 3 more platforms to unlock a path to a hidden item. And the item is a ribbon, so it is worth it, but the process of doing so sucks. Good news is there's a step-by-step guide on Game FAQs of what pillars to activate in which order, which is great. But it is time-consuming, and I hope you enjoyed the boss I just fought, because now we get to fight that boss several more times. And no, it's not more interesting on repeat attempts. The only actually good thing about this is I am getting experience from it, which I do need. I also have no encounters, so I can run back to heal as much as needed, so I'm not burning through my high potions. But that is not a lot of comfort. Do not worry though, just when you get bored of killing one boss too many times, you unlock a different kind of a boss to fight too many more times. Anyway, skipping ahead, and I get my ribbon, which means skipping through the next few areas. Yes, there are some accessories I can get over on this moving platform. I don't care. I'm not going to use them. Firelight is up, and just like with LeBlanc, it's time to use a curtain to reduce damage since I will have tons of these later. Firelight can do decent damage, but Burst Shot takes him down so fast he barely gets any attacks off. Okay, I guess it's Bahamut time. Again, throw out some curtains to reduce Mega Flare's damage. This is Bahamut's only really dangerous attack, and then just spam shots. Bahamut is a lot more durable than Barreleye, so I do end up running out of MP for burst shots, and I need to switch to basic attacks. On the other hand, he's not actually that much more durable, and I still have like 92 high potions, so this is actually very easy. Okay, I was a bit concerned with Gunner's performance early on, but they seem to be doing okay now. Anywho, completing that fight ends Act 2, and everything is on fire for Act 3. And as usual, instead of dealing with that, it's time to hop down to Luca, because it's time for Sphere Break. Pseudo-competitive math at its finest. My main goal is to grab the Treasure Hunt Garment Grid while challenging Shinra. Getting the sphere itself is very easy, and then I just need to win the match. I mean, I don't actually need to win the match, but I want to win the match. This comes much closer than usual, but that's really only because I got 2 ones, and you can't do anything with ones, they just end your chain. I did still win first try, though. The Treasure Hunt Garment Grid gives me the Mug command. That will mostly be useful for a bunch of stolen curtains, but maybe I can steal some other useful items as well? And with that minor diversion aside, it's time to head down to Macalania Woods. This starts a long segment of fights, mostly just to get some experience and some guaranteed curtains. Completing this now will unlock Owaka's shop in Act 5, but bluntly, I probably won't use it at all. So this is really just an excuse to get into fights, get experience, and get items. Good thing I have a comical number of high potions though, because I need them. And also Phoenix Downs. Why do these chimeras deal 1500 damage with one attack? I mean, I know I'm always underleveled, but still, that seems like a big jump. Gunner may not be as great at damage as Berserkers, but they are way better than Thieves or Alchemists, so at least they have that going. Next up, it's down to the Calmlands for the next Dark Aeon fight against Yojimbo. After I deal with the stupid side quest of rescuing these morons anyway. At least I have no encounters. As usual, Yojimbo is a bit of a problem. Most of his attacks are kind of nothing, but he does deal MP damage, limiting my ability to use stronger gunplay abilities, and of course, he has Zanmato, which reduces my party to 1 HP. Along with poison, this is always a risky fight. I basically need to have Yuna and Riku do nothing to prepare to heal as needed as soon as possible while Pain deals damage. The good news is Pain has all my strength boosting accessories, so her damage is quite good. I think I also need to use Trigger Happy. Spamming button presses is annoying, but effective. This fight goes on for a while because Yojimbo has a lot of health, but it isn't really that big of a deal. Though this is one of the few fights where I actually swap Dress Spheres mid-battle, though it's really only to give Pain a strength buff so the fight takes less time. Which works, though not as well as I'd really have liked. Hooray, Yojimbo is finally down. And that means I can head over to Besaid to deal with the next Dark Aeon. After I restock on some healing items, seriously, that Yojimbo fight really burned through a lot of my backstock. Good thing high potions are now easily purchasable. Baleful is a bit scary as it can hit the entire party for decent damage. Actually, this fight is going pretty poorly. I do have high potions, but Energy Ray and Energy Burst are dealing a lot more damage than I'd like to the entire party. At least high potions are still dealing a pretty good job of healing. Baleful may have damage output, but it is a lot less durable than Yojimbo, and that is the fight done. And if getting my party killed a bunch of times wasn't enough of a clue, I need some experience. Time to out down to the Thunder Plains and commit some violence. So glad this game has speed up and auto battle. Really makes grinding sections so much easier. I'll be back in a bit once I've acquired some levels. Okay, grinding complete for now, and it's over to Kilika to deal with another Dark Aeon. This is a bit more involved because I need to sneak into the forest and then reach the temple, but honestly this is a nothing issue that is very easily overcome. So who cares? Let's move on. Into the Ifrit fight. I didn't actually gain that many levels, but I think this fight is just easier. Ifrit can hit the whole party, but does so much less frequently. It's far more common to just get a single attack for a few hundred points of damage. This means less time healing and more time dealing damage, which is fine. And we're really rushing through Act 3. Only one Dark Aeon left to take care of. And that means popping down to Jose Temple, where things are going great. The temple itself is full of nothing, and it's into the boss fight. Despite being the Lightning Aeon, Ixion actually deals mostly non-elemental damage. Aerospark in particular is very annoying because it deals percentage damage. And Thor's Hammer deals way more damage than I thought. Okay, gonna have to pivot and be a little more defensive in this fight. Toss out a curtain for Shell on everyone, that should help. And yep, that is way better damage. Fortunately, much like Ifrit and Baleful, this boss is actually pretty frail and dies without too much effort. Anyway, Yuna falls down into the far plane or something, we deal with some plot, none of these cutscenes are skippable, for some reason, so I just have to click X a bunch of times to get through the scenes, and we are back in the Celsius for Act 4, the shortest act, though it is also a bit annoying. First, we need to chat with everyone through comm spheres. No, you can't skip these, so you just have to wait for them to finish. Then pop down to the Moonflow to chase after Trobio or whatever this guy's name is. This whole sequence is so long and so boring. And finally, we catch him, and we're done. Then it's a minigame, the rules of which make no sense, but you can in fact just spam button inputs and get a score way higher than you need. This gets me the Super Ribbon accessory. I can't actually use it yet, because I need auto haste, but it will be very useful later. And before Yuna can have her concert, it's time to explore a very short dungeon and face another boss, the Salamander, which can hit the party for a lot of damage in several different flavors. So start off by throwing out curtains, protect and shell are absolutely essential here, and then it's pretty much just focus on keeping my party healed up to survive attacks, usually, and spamming my strongest moves, which is basically just Pain's attack because she is out of MP. This fight is pretty simple in theory, but the boss deals so much damage and seems to only want to hit everyone or Pain, so she does die several times. That being said, the boss does go down. It's fine. And that means Yuna can have her concert, which surprisingly actually plays the cutscene instead of just a green screen. I will say, this is not a skippable cutscene. Good news is editing me can just... and we're moving on to Act 5, because Act 4 is over and done. And first stop in Act 5 is to the Calmlands to pick up my Speed Bracer for auto haste. That means I can also equip the Super Ribbon and not care about the slowing effect. Yuna can also now cast Hestega, which is actually pretty great for fast movement. And yeah, no Oaka doesn't have anything I want. No worries though, I didn't actually help him for his shop. Now, my healing is bad, that won't really change, and there are no easy renewable ways to get Mega Potions or X Potions or Elixirs. However, there are a lot of chests in this game, so next on my itinerary is to run around grabbing all the high-level healing items around the map, because I will probably need them. In Jose Temple, I can also grab a Hyper Wrist to further increase Pain's damage. She's going to be my main damage dealer, so I need her strength as high as it can go. Oh, the Thunder Plains also has a quest of sorts to kill a bunch of monsters. The real rewards are the items they leave behind, but I'll take it. And that's actually kind of it for the optional stuff. It's time to head down to the space below the world and start the endgame. In theory, at least. I may still be underleveled, so let's find out. And this journey starts with Dark Shiva. Okay, so Shiva is dealing really high damage and can reduce a character to 0 hits surprisingly quickly. As for my damage, it's actually pretty good, dealing between 1,000 and 2,000 damage every hit, which is not bad. Not actually sure why there seems to be that much variance, but I guess that's fine. I do have to heal. A lot, with everyone in the party dying at least once, but thanks to the high damage, I'm golden. And next up is the Mega Sisters, and they are the real wall of the endgame. 3 targets, all of which deal decent damage, and if you don't kill one fast enough, they use Delta attack and you lose the fight. This is usually a pretty tough wall for the run, and this is also true here. Now, it starts with Mindy using Pasado 4 times in a row, and I don't mean on subsequent turns. I mean 4 times, and my ATB gauge is not moving because she literally will not stop using it. For context, this move reduces the target to about 1/16 of their current HP. Using it 4 times in a row is a crime. However, it doesn't actually matter that much. Even if I could get healed up and back into the fight, I still probably wouldn't have won this. The Mega Sisters have Mighty Guard, pretty good damage, even without Pasado's nonsense, and my reduced damage is only like 600 per hit from Pain. Mindy is the weakest of the sisters, and she has almost 10,000 HP. So yeah, this was never really gonna go my way. So as I kind of expected, I need to do some grinding. Gunners don't get a lot of HP on leveling, but a good chunk of levels should increase their damage by a good margin. And killing even one Mega Sister will make the fight a lot more manageable. So it's back to the Mihen Highroad. The enemies here are pretty easy to kill, 4 times speed can do a lot of work, and thanks to Scatterburst, which deals critical damage to all enemies, the fights are actually very quick. And the save sphere gives me full heals very quickly. And I may have gotten in a bit of a groove and overleveled a bit. My party is now level 50, but that's okay. That should just mean I'm ready for the end game. Right? Right? Well, we're gonna find out. First up is the rematch against the Mega Sisters. Mindy doesn't start the fight by spamming her strongest attack before I have a chance to attack, and I can use curtains to reduce damage and apply Reflect to reflect Cindy's spells. While Mindy can actually dodge quite effectively, every time Pain does hit, she's dealing 2,500 damage. In no small part because I have some Dispel tonics to break through Mighty Guard. Without defensive buffs, Pain can take out Mindy very quickly. This stops the Mega Sisters from using Delta attack and robs them of their next most dangerous attack, Pasado. From there, it's pretty easy work to shoot through both Cindy and Sandy's health, especially with Trigger Happy dealing, frankly, too much damage. I really wish I had a turbo controller so this ability wasn't so annoying to use. Hard fight down, and next up is Anima. Curtains and Hystega are out first to reduce damage and speed up my actions. Anima does have status effects, but everyone other than Pain is completely immune to them. And Anima has Oblivion, but it's not actually that scary. Also, I think Oblivion may be tied to HP thresholds because it keeps using it after every Trigger Happy, suggesting I keep dealing enough damage to break through a threshold of some kind. Okay, that was the last Dark Aeon dealt with, which is great, and it's time for the first of 2 piano puzzles. The first section is pretty annoying, but it does at least have the courtesy of having decent items I can grab in treasure chests. That does make it a lot less miserable to get through. The second piano puzzle is much shorter, but it has fewer treasures, and that makes me sad. Oh well, I have a map that shows me how to solve it on the first try, which is a huge bonus. And that means it's final boss's time. No holding back now. First up is Vegnagun's tail. The tail has 2 attacks. The first deals 1,250 damage to the entire party. The second deals 5/16 of the target's max HP. Fortunately, my party doesn't actually have that much HP, meaning I can focus on limited healing and rapid fire. The laser is very easy to deal with thanks to high potions, and the sweep is also not super dangerous. I do get a bit low on HP once, but no one dies and the fight is over pretty quickly. That Trigger Happy damage is going great, and it's very nice of the game to let me run back and save between most phases in this fight. It's very kind in that way. Next up is the leg. This has 3 colored orbs that do defense, healing, or offense. However, they have too much HP to actually think about, so instead it's all about focusing attacks on the leg. Good thing is I have a lot of curtains for defense and Hystega for speed. While I'm not actually taking that much damage, I also don't have that much HP, so I need to prioritize Pain dealing damage while everyone else heals. This actually doesn't take very long either, though it is a bit longer than it should have been because the leg takes a few orb attacks to realize it has died. Which is funny, but only because I didn't die during those attacks. Next up is Vegnagun's head. I really appreciate the team coming together at the end, but it is a bummer that only the main party is competent. Now, in this fight, Vegnagun has 2 legs present that can do nothing, because they are dead. Turns out Scatter Burst from Pain deals over 3,000 damage per hit, allowing Pain to one-shot them and deal damage to the core. I also have a lot of ethers because I haven't used any, so Vegnagun is going to do nothing in this fight actually, because Pain can just spam Trigger Happy, and instead of healing, Yuna and Rika can double burst shot any legs that get revived. So that was easy. Next up is the head. Let's see if that is more difficult. This is also a fight with multiple targets, which Pain can again deal very big damage to with Scatter Shot. It's not actually enough for a one-shot, but the head actually does things in this fight, so it's not just a sweep. And curtains are kind of essential to not die. Scatterburst, combined with a few ethers, are enough to deal big damage to the boss and keep the 2 horns dead for most of the fight. And while the head can try and deal decent damage, it's just not enough. I know I'm probably a bit over-leveled here for the first time in a video, but Gunnar is much better than I expected. And then it's time for the final boss. This boss is, as always, a formality. None of his attacks actually deal that much damage, other than Terror of Zanarkand, but I have more than enough Phoenix Downs and other healing items to keep the party healed up. And that is Shuyin down. And that was Final Fantasy X-2, beaten with only Gunnars, our stand-in for Rangers in this here Final Fantasy. And I was really curious how well Gunnar would do. It's a pretty basic intro class that I normally switch off of basically immediately, so I've never really seen how well they scale into the late game. But I will have more to say about that in the summary video, out in a few weeks. I did want to shout out that I do have a Patreon, linked in the description. I spend a lot of time making these videos, so if you enjoyed the video, want to support the channel, and are financially stable enough to do so, that exists. No pressure though, this channel is free to enjoy for everyone and will remain that way. For now, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of this, feel free to subscribe. Hey, maybe leave a comment if you have something you'd like to say. But whatever you decide to do, have a safe trip home.